Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into a pretty blunt reality check about what's actually going on with our minds right now. Have you ever caught yourself staring at a screen and just felt like your digital life has been completely hijacked? Like you're suddenly operating on this script that you definitely didn't write? Well, we are going to figure out how to escape what we call the rendered loop of modern technology, so you can reclaim your own internal compass. We'll be breaking down the hard neuroscience, the philosophy behind it all, and most importantly, the actual on-the-ground tactics you need to stop being a passive cog and start co-creating your own reality.
So here's a simple question to kick things off, but it's a deeply uncomfortable one. Are your digital choices actually yours? When you're scrolling, when you click on a video, or when you suddenly discover a brand new interest online, it feels like an act of free will, right? But what if your online identity is already pre-calculated? Our digital environment is literally designed to define us and then reflect those exact definitions right back at us. And that creates a very real, very heavy anxiety about who is actually sitting in the driver's seat of your life.
And that brings us to this concept of algorithmic seeing. Look, algorithms do not see you as a complex, messy human being with infinite potential. We're going to call that infinite potential the zero state. Instead, they just see patterns that need to be corralled. They take all that infinite human potential and compress it down into rigid deterministic behavior, which is the one. By boiling down our messy, beautiful human realities into clean little data points, the system is basically trying to turn unique people into predictable, non-player characters. Literally, NPCs.
Section 1. The feedback loop and the deterministic trap.
The systems we interact with every single day are absolute masters at maintaining an illusion of agency. They grab all our random data traces, the articles you hover over for an extra second, the videos you binge, and they feed us a continuous optimized loop of exactly what we already think. It takes your old beliefs, slaps a new coat of paint on them, and serves them right back up to you as if they were brand new choices. It totally fakes a sense of autonomy. It makes you feel like you're out there boldly exploring the world when, in reality, you're just wandering around inside a highly personalized hall of mirrors. Scholar Luciana Parisi actually hits the nail on the head here. She points out that these algorithms rely heavily on our affective predispositions, basically our emotional baseline. The system uses your past emotional reactions to stage your old, tired beliefs as though you've just made this brilliant new discovery. That is exactly how the rendered loop keeps its hooks in you. It doesn't actually want you to grow. It just wants you to be predictable.
Section 2. Left brain emissary overdrive.
Okay, so let's look at the neuroscience. Psychiatrist Ian McGilchrist gives us this brilliant framework for the divided brain. Think of your right hemisphere as the master. It's a wise observer. It has this broad, sustained, open attention. It sees the flowing whole, the context, the true meaning of things. Now contrast that with the left hemisphere, which he calls the emissary. The emissary is basically a rigid, bureaucratic control freak. Its attention is incredibly narrow and reductive. It takes the world, breaks it down into discrete, static parts, and categorizes them so we can manipulate them. In a healthy brain, the master provides the rich context, and the emissary just executes the practical tasks. That's how it's supposed to work. But here's the problem. As McGilchrist argues, we are currently living through a catastrophic inversion. The emissary has entirely usurped the master. That narrow, bureaucratic, list-making left brain has essentially taken over how we view our broader reality. We aren't really experiencing life through that holistic, intuitive right brain lens anymore. Instead, our minds are completely dominated by the left brain's filtered, fragmented, highly categorized map of the world. And when this left brain dominance scales up and becomes systemic, it creates a massive cultural pathology. It builds this hyper-rigid world that creates a closed, explicit representation of reality. It absolutely hates ambiguity, so it tries to eliminate internal variance. It demands that all our deep nonverbal knowledge be translated into explicit text or data. Ultimately, it replaces living, breathing truth with regurgitated social control. It is quite literally the neurological foundation of that algorithmic loop we were just talking about. Section 3, System 1, Cognitive Atrophy. You've probably heard of Daniel Kahneman's famous two systems of thinking. System 1 is our fast, unconscious, effortless autopilot. It relies on quick mental shortcuts. System 2, on the other hand, is our slow, deliberate, logical engine. It takes conscious effort to use, so naturally, it's a bit lazy and tires out easily. Well,
Algorithms completely weaponize this dynamic. Digital feeds are deliberately, precisely designed to keep us locked entirely in System 1. They strip away all the cognitive friction so that you just stay in this fast, reactive, automatic loop, and you never actually wake up System 2. The danger here is absolutely immense. By constantly offloading our decision-making, our personal tastes, and our deep inquiries to recommendation engines, our critical thinking muscles are quite literally withering away. We're losing our grasp on context. Just like any unused muscle, our intellectual resilience just decays when we sit back and let a machine do all the heavy lifting of figuring out what we should care about today. And it actually gets crazier because our brain actively covers up this loss of agency. Neuroscience has identified a module called the left brain interpreter. Honestly, it's an arrogant little mechanism, kind of like a false creator or a demiurge. What it does is instantly invent plausible yet completely false stories to justify actions that we just took on automatic pilot. So the algorithm makes a choice for you, you click it using your lazy System 1 brain, and then your left brain interpreter instantly spins up a story about why you, as a free-thinking individual, consciously chose to do that. You were kept entirely in the dark about your own automation.
Section 4. Embracing the holy fool.
So how do we break out of this? Historically, the ultimate circuit breaker for this kind of rigidity was a figure known as the holy fool. Back in Byzantine times, you had monks like Simeon of Amasa who would roll into crowded cities and just use simulated insanity. I mean, extreme, shocking, bizarre behavior, specifically to mock rigid moral codes. They used this kind of divine madness to shatter social conventions and aggressively break people out of their bureaucratic left-brain stupors. They intentionally introduced chaos to restore actual balance. For a more modern example, take the philosopher Alan Watts. Picture him operating out of his yurt-shaped library in Muir Woods. Watts lived completely outside the conventional box. He called himself a philosophical entertainer or a rascal. He would literally stand there and speak pseudo-Japanese nonsense to butterflies, just to break the everyday trance of the people watching him. He used pure absurdity to tease people out of their deep intellectual ruts. There's an old saying, you can tell a yogi by his laugh. Adopting a playful, eclectic approach is absolutely vital here. The very first step toward true self-governance is being able to take a step back and just laugh at the absurdity of the rendered loop. Once you stop taking the algorithm's hyper-curated version of reality so seriously, you immediately strip it of its power over your System 1 autopilot.
Section 5. Tactical behavioral circuit breakers.
If you want to understand how to apply this practically, look at this brilliant technical analogy from Netflix's software architecture. They use a practice called chaos engineering. They literally unleashed a program called Chaos Monkey into their own live servers specifically to randomly terminate instances. They use Latency Monkey to inject artificial delays and Chaos Gorilla to simulate entire zone failures. By injecting this deliberate disorder and functional stress into their infrastructure, they force their own system to become anti-fragile. The system literally has to learn how to survive random shocks. We need to do the exact same thing to our digital lives. We call it a Cohen audit. Step 1. Introduce deliberate randomness. Click on things way outside your echo chamber. Totally scramble your data traces. Make the algorithm confused. Step 2. Stress test your own daily routines by intentionally acting unpredictably. Break your own rules just to see what happens. This deliberately crushes your left brain autopilot, which sets you up for Step 3. Finally, reclaiming that broad beam, right brain master attention. The absolutely crucial point in this sovereign eclectic philosophy is understanding that true peace is not static. Static means dead. It means rigid. It means you are easily captured and predicted by an algorithm. True peace is active readiness. Imagine a spinning disk compared to a rigid steel beam. That dynamic balance requires conscious, continuous movement between chaos and order. It requires friction.
Section 6. Reclaiming your internal self-governance.
So I want to leave you with this blunt challenge. The digital world is perfectly content for you to remain a highly predictable data point, an NPC endlessly looping through repackaged beliefs until the end of time. And let's be real, the tools of control are incredibly sophisticated. So the question is, will you stay on autopilot, or will you introduce a little divine madness, apply some personal chaos engineering to your daily life, and finally reclaim your compass? You absolutely have the ability to transcend this loop. You can translate your understanding into actual knowledge and step into spiritual adulthood. If you want to dive deeper into these frameworks and continue your journey towards sovereign eclectic independence, you can explore a lot further over at journey.zwx.xyz. Thanks for joining me on this explainer today. Keep wandering and always keep questioning the render.